Hello, Internet. It is I, Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions. Today we are going to be talking about Cry Macho, the latest HBO Max experiment movie. So, as usual, we're going to be going over the pros and cons. So, let's get to it. Pros: Mr. Clint Eastwood, the star and director of this movie. This dude is an absolute legend. There's no way anyone's going to dispute that. I mean, his resume speaks for itself. I mean, dude's 91 years old. He's been doing this for a long, long time, very long time. And his track record, both his acting and his directing gigs, sometimes both at the same time, have been, he's had some definite hits. The Mule, this is just acting. The Mule, Gran Torino, Million Dollar Baby, Space Cowboys, In the Line of Fire, Unforgiven. All those were decent sized hits. But it's this directing stuff where things get a lot more interesting. Again, we got The Mule. We also have Sully. We got American Sniper, the biggest war movie in history in terms of box office. That movie destroyed any and all expectations, money wise. And then we also got again Gran Torino, Million Dollar Baby, Mystic River, Space Cowboys, Unforgiven. Yeah, he's had plenty, and a lot of these movies are beloved by the general public. Mainly, Gran Torino, Million Dollar Baby, Unforgiven. American Sniper is a bit more divisive, I would say, but I guess well, when I remember when it came out, like a lot of audiences were just like, "Yeah, this movie's great," but some were more iffy, but for the most part, it was more or less positive. I know Sully's a good movie. I heard it's a good movie. Uh, the Mule though is I don't honestly know. I think people thought it was okay. But again, I barely even remember. I don't even remember that movie's existence all that much, so there's not much I can say about that. But yeah, Clint Eastwood, big pro for this movie all the way. Although his track record is just extremely spotty, but we'll discuss that more when we get to the cons. But yeah, Clint Eastwood, big old pro in my book. So that's pro number one. Clint Eastwood's name, his whole brand, and being in front of the camera and behind the camera. So yeah, all that is a pro in my eyes. So that's pro number one. Pro number two. Pro number two. This movie has no real direct competition. It's kind of in a league of its own when it comes to its genre. I mean, what's out right now? Shang-Chi, superhero movie. Malignant, horror movie. Cop shop action movie. Cry Macho is none of those things. It's more of a drama, if anything. And we haven't had too many of those in the pandemic era, at least not to my knowledge. So it kind of helps us stand out a bit, from the crowd. And again, it won't have any direct competition for a little bit, at least until Many Saints of Newark. And I'm only saying that because one, they both are going after an older demographic, and two, they're both a part of the HBO Max experiment. So it's the easiest comparison. It's like the easiest movie I could pick. But yeah, it still has like 2 weeks to itself, to make some money. So yeah, I would consider lack of competition, lack of direct competition, a pro. Oh yeah, I didn't even mention, well, I guess I can name this as another pro. Pro number three, Clint Eastwood's, fan base. Dude has a fan base that's willing to watch his movies as long as they look interesting, have a big actor attached to it, or they have like an element to it that audiences can gravitate towards. You know, I guess, for example, in Gran Torino, you know, He starts out as like a super bitter old man. He starts out as a little unlikable, to be honest. But as soon as he, saves, a neighbor from being, attacked by, a gang, everyone starts to, see him as a hero, a hero to the neighborhood, and slowly becomes more and more likable as the movie goes on. And a lot of people gravitated towards that. A lot of people were invested. A lot of people, I mean, if you've seen the movie, you know how it ends, and I bet a lot of people were saddened in the theater when they watched that. And actually, I just watched Gran Torino on HBO Max, funny enough, like a few weeks ago. So yeah, that movie's still pretty fresh in my mind. But yeah, and this movie kind of has a similar vibe to it in a way. How in Gran Torino he kind of takes um a young kid under his wing a little bit. The same thing kind of happens here. I mean, the man's young son home away from his alcoholic mom, unlikely pair faces an unexpectedly challenging journey. World weary horseman may find his own sense of redemption through teaching the boy what it means to be a good man. Sounds a lot like Gran Torino. I'm getting serious Gran Torino vibes from this synopsis. And with Gran Torino, it worked like a charm, so theoretically it should work here too. So yeah. Yeah, I would, and again, Clint Eastwood's fan base just eats this stuff up. Even if the movie is hella depressing, like $1 Million Baby. So yeah, I would consider that a pro. Clint Eastwood's fan base, if the movie looks interesting or has something they can gravitate towards, they'll show up. So that's pro number three. Trying to think of other pros. I guess the reviews are fine enough. Last I checked, it was in the 70s. It probably went down, but I think it's in a good position overall to, not deter people away. So at least I won't have to worry about that. Well, it kind of does for, well, I guess we might as well get to the cons. That one thing that will deter people from watching this movie in the theater: HBO Max. What can I even say about this anymore? Like, out of all the HBO Max movies we've gotten since Wonder Woman 1984 last December, out of all those movies, I can only count four that didn't do terrible. Everything else, disaster. If you want to know what those four movies are that didn't do terrible, they're Godzilla vs. Kong, Conjuring 3, Tom and Jerry, and Mortal Kombat. Those are the good ones in terms of, well, relatively good ones when it comes to box office. Everything else, though, Wonder Woman 1984, bomb. Little Things, bomb. Judas and the Black Messiah, bomb. Those Who Wish Me Dead, bomb. In the Heights, bomb. Let's see, Space Jam 2, bomb. The Suicide Squad, bomb. Reminiscence, huge bomb. And Malignant, bomb. That's a lot of bombs. Way more than there should be. So yeah, the hit to miss ratio is just abysmal for this experiment. And honestly, looking at Cry Macho, I think it's gonna be another L. I think it's going to be a bomb. And not because the movie's bad, it's just because more people would rather watch it at home or on their TV, phone, laptop than they would watch in the cinema. So, and there's plenty of evidence to support that. So, yeah, the big con for this movie is HBO Max, no question about it. Another con is that there's a real lack of advertising for this movie, which is kind of shocking because this is Warner Brothers. They're notorious for, you know, aggressively shoving ads in your face on any chance they get, especially on YouTube. I can't even tell you how many times I've seen an ad for a Warner Brothers movie on YouTube every time I watch a video. It's absurd. But this movie's had none. I've seen more ads for Malignant and Many Saints of Newark than I have for this movie. So that's kind of a red flag. The lack of, big time marketing. And because, which is again weird because this is Clint Eastwood, you think they would push it more, but I guess they just don't feel like it. So I would consider that a bit another con right there. All right, third con, Clint Eastwood again. Like I already told you about his successes, but we gotta talk about his fails, and there's quite a few of them. Oh, I pressed the wrong thing. My bad. His acting credits, a little less. Well, he doesn't. He's not really much of an actor these days. I mean, he barely goes on screen. Like, there was trouble with the curve, which did bad. Yeah, and some of these other movies that aren't really well known all that much. So I guess there's Blood Work. Just nobody remembers that movie. And now technical credits, director. Now we have more examples of bombs. Richard Jewell, that was a flop. 1517 to Paris, flop. Jersey Boys, flop. Trouble with the Curb, flop. Well, he was a producer on that. J. Edgar didn't do too hot. Neither did Hereafter or Invictus or the Changeling. I don't know how to pronounce that correctly. Oh, it did well overseas, but domestically it didn't do very good. And then there was Flags of Our Fathers and Letters from Iwo Jima. Those two movies are kind of combined. They're technically the same movie from like different sides. Neither did good. So that was a huge waste of time. But yeah, from the director's chair, it's like some of these movies just did not land with the general public. And I have a strong feeling this movie's gonna join them. So yeah, I consider that another con. Fourth con, pandemic. Obviously, this one's a bit more severe because Clint Eastwood's audience is very old. It's definitely in the older. It's definitely not the young crowd. It's more. It's definitely more of an older crowd, like a lot older than the usual movie going crowd. And those are the type of people who are probably the most squeamish about going to the theater. So that's a huge problem. Huge problem for this movie. Because a large portion of his fan base is of that older demographic. If they can't see the movie in theaters, where else are they gonna watch it? HBO Max, or they'll just I don't know, wait till it's on TV or something. I don't know, but yeah, that's definitely a problem that will plague this movie. But yeah, obviously, still pandemic, all that jazz. That's another con. That's an easy con though. But yeah. So opening weekend, oof. These movies are so unpredictable. They hurt my brain. I mean, I've bombed so badly on some of these predictions. I bombed with In the Heights. I bombed with uh Reminiscence. I think I bombed with Those Who Wish Me Dead too. I bombed with that too. So yeah, I'm not too confident in my prediction. I'm gonna have a wide range just to play it safe. So opening weekend, I'm predicting a total between 5 to 10 million. Yeah, 5 to 10 million, I think is more than reasonable, and it'll probably reach. Well, you gotta remember, HBO Max movies are horribly front loaded. So, uh, 20 million. That's the highest I'm willing to go. 20 million domestic. I Ugh, I could be wrong. It could do better, but it could also do a whole lot worse. So yeah, I'm not confident in my predictions at all because of how some of my past predictions have gone. But yeah, that's my what I think it will do. And that'll be the end of the weekend. Next weekend we now have two movies to talk about technically. We got a new movie in the form of Dear Evan Hansen and an old movie being re-released in the form of Courageous Legacy. Why it's getting a re-release, I don't know. I guess the Kendrick brothers need some money because Show Me the Father didn't make any money. So this is their next bet. So yeah. And then that'll be the end of September. So man, things definitely went downhill after Shang-Chi. But things will definitely spike once October 1st hits because good God, we got four movies to talk about. And then one for No Time to Die, then two for Halloween Kills the Last Duel, then two for Doing Wrong's Gone Wrong. And at the end of the month, we got four movies to talk about here. This is going to be a wild month that literally can't come soon enough because September has been an utter bore. But yeah, anywho, yeah, that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. Want to check out more videos like this? I got a playlist on the homepage of all the previous HBO Max movies I've covered, the few good, the many bad. If you want to watch any of those, see how horrible I did at my predictions, go right ahead. There's also the canceled series where I go over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. I only talked about this movie like a mere few times, and it barely changed its release date. Well, it kind of did. It was supposed to come out like late-ish October, then it got pushed to early October, then it got pushed to this weekend. But yeah, nothing too extreme. But if you want to watch any of the past canceled episodes I made, I just did three like about a week ago where I talked about movies like Furiosa and then a bunch of Disney movies, either staying theatrical or getting new dates or adding dates. So you want to watch any of those, that way you're up to date on everything, you can go right ahead. There's also box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. Oh, that the summer recap, I have to push it back. It's a two-parter. I have to push it back to um next week. I'm hoping because school's been kicking my ass and it's been awful. But yeah, I'm hoping to get it done by next week, and it'll be about the whole war between streaming and theatrical. So if you want to, definitely look forward to that because it's going to be quite interesting. But if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I've done, oh yeah, September recap. I forgot again. September recap will come out right after the first weekend of October, a few days after that weekend is done, so midweek. So in the first week of October, yeah, that's when you'll get that video. But yeah, if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I've made, you can go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That is all. I am out. Goodbye.